Negative. They will go in what's called a slough. Unfortunately, now I got to exit and come back. So give me this. Let me join session. Network status. And okay, and now things are coming back. Am I active on YouTube? Sorry about that, folks that may watch my previous one. My internet crashed on me here. So um, anything that's marked as none will go into what's called a slough track. And in this particular case, the way it's set up, it's going to be track 115, which is this track right here, this last one. Again, these are the local yards. And down here is the Burlington Northern old yards. Now, when I was yard master for a short time on another server, I actually pulled them down here, and this way I had plenty of room, really long lines of tracks that I could put my cars on coming off of the hump, and then I could come back and then figure out which end I needed to put my engine on. But some of them over there, they were talking about it's hard to get into some of the tracks, and because they're limited on the locals, and they wanted it up here. So that's how I found out what I was sharing with you earlier about sometimes they wanted it here over at CFMRR, which I really wanted to use this for something else, and just keep them all down here because of the track lengths here. Some of the locals that they have to run, they're limited on how long a train can be, and that's understandable. So let me get back down here to you. I think what happens if I go too far too fast, it kinda doesn't like it. Okay, so we're back to here, and left control function 6. Now each one may be different. It just depends on the server. What you can do is, first thing right there, do you see where my mouse is at? Pull configuration from host. So if you're on a server and okay, because everybody runs their servers differently, and in single player you may run yours differently. So you want to pull this configuration from the host, which is this particular server. Let me know when you got it here. I'm looking for you. I know you're around here somewhere. As long as you're within range. That's fine. Okay, so you got your Barstow hump. You can see it, right? And you clicked on pull configuration from host. Negative. So you want to pull the configuration from host. Now each, there you go. You see how it turned up in that orange? Did you see that up there? Hump configuration received from host. Did you see that? I'm pointing at it on. Correct. Now this is one that was made up by whomever on this server makes these up. Now if you want to see how to make these up, look up Kazik, and I'll write his name over here on the side. Kazickfar. Kazik Fairwind. Yeah, you can save it to disk. Now each of your controllers are different. So like you pull this one from here, but then you go over to the Colton yard, you're gonna have to pull theirs, which is going to be, it can be different. You can create your own by typing up inside these spots. But you see when you click on them, what happened? closed on me.
That's what happened when I put the configuration down the first time. It crashed on me.
Could be because we were both running them. F2 client join network status. Boom.
I don't have the controller active, so maybe
Whoops. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you say the guy's name was that you looked at?
I typed it over there on the side. Kazakh Fairwind, I believe his last name. That he goes by as Fairwind. He's a younger guy. He's really knowledgeable. Very, very knowledgeable. And people on his server are kind of on the younger side, and that's fine. But he does some.
This video up, and I started watching it, and I jumped in the game. I didn't know what
Right. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of playing with him and some of the others, and he's taught me quite a few things myself. Now I don't see so good in the dark, so I'm going to change mine to daytime. So after you set to that, you click apply and you can click freeze time, and you can do that with either day or night. I don't know if you saw that. So you on the controller. Okay, I'm not going to click on it, but as you see, you have different ones that you can set up, and each one of these that you click on is the one that's going to be active. So you can only highlight one at a time.
change, but then
Yeah, you have to click on. You have to be quick here. Click apply, and then right below it is a button that says freeze time.
okay, just do it real quick.
Yep. And now it'll stay that way until you turn it off, and then it'll revert to whatever time it is. So when you have multiple configurations like this, you can only run one at a time. By default, I think there was just one, and you'll notice it's track 101 through 115. Push configuration to host now. Let's say you're pulling this one and you got your own that you want to transfer to, whether single player or on your own server or something. Then you'd push that configuration to host, whichever one you have active here. Save to disk, load from disk. That's pretty understandable. Hump controller active. When that turns green, you notice everything grayed out. And right now I have this one, so I got to turn it back off and get to the one that I wanted, which is the top one. So
It takes about 5 seconds to catch up on the video.
okay.
I turned the audio off, but the video I'm just listening on. Even if I can hear the audio rather than see it, it just takes about a couple seconds to show.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So I highlighted the one that I want, and then I turned hump controller active. You'll notice everything grays out. I mean, you can't select or change anything while the hump controller is active. At this point now, you can go as far as you want, I don't know, as far as you want, but I've been all the way down to the old yard, taking some cars down there that were backing up and come back and continued on, and the hump controller was active. But by default, I usually, when I do something like that, because I get out of range, I'll turn it off and turn it back on.
It'll just keep on running by itself.
It'll stay active, but you have to stop your train because you can only run one train at a time. Make sure you keep auto pin puller active.
Which
We're going to do the inbound train configuration, or the first one for this.
okay.
Now watch this here. I got turned off for a second. Watch what happens. So you can have multiple configurations per track. So if I turn this off, Yeah, because I had push to talk, and if I pushed a button, it would write up in there, and I didn't want to write in there.
That's what happens.
But I wanted to show that you can go further beyond just right that little bit. You can put multiple train tags per track. You're not stuck with one tag per track. And
So any of those tags go that same track.
correct. So anything like with 101, any of these tags will go in 101, and it goes on and on and on, however long you put it in there. This one's got one, this one's got one, but hell, here's RCal, double lot 51, double lot 61, 71, 81. You see what I'm saying? So you can have multiple tags per one track.
Local train, is that a local train number or a destination number?
These are, well, some of these are local destinations and some are local trains, like
That's
Watt,
pretty good.
KCK, Kansas City, Kansas, Richmond, California. I'm not sure what FRS is. Fort Worth, Houston, Memphis, CHI is Chicago, and so on and so on. Pasadena. So it does both. Uh, here we go.
The destination tag, you just have to put the local together yourself.
Right, and you have to sort it out, but this does your major sorting. Then you come in, you do your minor sorting here. So like Galveston and Chicago, assuming that means Galveston, GAL. Although you would think that would be under the Texas, I don't know. And then after you've done your main sorting, then you come back and you run it through again. And that's when you can sort out, with this particular build, you can come in and sort out which one you want. I want all the LAC cars, the Bakersfield car, Pasadena, etc., etc. It all depends on how this hump is wrote. Again, it's going to be different for different humps, and it's going to be different for different servers. And again, if you kind of want to watch, look up Kazakh there on YouTube. He does one about how to actually write these out. All right, are you ready? Where's your train at?
One back there.
Oh, it's way back there. I thought it was, cause I thought it was further up.
No, it's too far to jump.
Okay, if it's too far to jump, hit your F1 key, click transport to my train, and it'll put you right at it. And that is grid wide, so or server wide, I should say. That's kind of like a riff term, meaning you can be anywhere, and you click on that, and it'll teleport you to your train.
Okay, take sixes in Barstow 5590.
Copy that. 5590. Let's check your. I gotta reset this up. And here you are. We're going to set this to reverse, set this to reverse, set this to reverse.
The button again for the speed control.
Should be Control Charlie, left Control Charlie. I do mine at 2.2 miles per hour. You can do yours faster if you want. I have seen it go across at 6 miles an hour, and that was accidental. Um, yeah, but you really risk all kinds of problems. Now there is if you're looking on your internet, do you see the one that I had my mouse pointing at right now, that track? Whoops, it went away. This track right here.
Yeah, he's over on the side here.
I have seen people that didn't like if you came across and blocked this. Um, I'll show you here. So when you're coming in, and I'm like, well, I don't know how you can change it. And you come in and you block this section that I'm over, and coming over this way, because this will take you down and around. They didn't like it. And I'm like, well, you really had no choice, because even if you're coming this way, you're still going to block it. I don't know. I guess I would say check with whoever is the yard master if they're doing any humping and see if they have any
What block the
pet
bypass track?
peeves.
You're saying.
Yeah, they don't like this track right here being blocked. So check with the yard master, see he may have a pet peeve about that. If that's the case, come down this one and over because you can still get to this track via the main one right here. You see what I'm saying?
Is that just a runaround track over there?
No, the runaround track is actually going to be back over here, I believe. Um, yeah, the runaround track is actually back over this way. But this one will run you down and around past those 4 yard tracks I was telling you about.
Okay.
Here, and I can get up in the air a little bit and you can see. So you see it'll come down, it'll tie in, and that's kind of like a bypass track because here's your 4. It's kind of like a bypass track to get you on so somebody can get by you. And this is one that comes under.
You're not blocking the bypass track. You're talking about that other dirt.
That's this track right here. That's this whole thing. Just this bypass, I guess what you'd call it, that they don't like blocked. It depends on the server and whoever's in charge. Now if you're looking, this is your runaround right there where my mouse is at. And I don't know if you can see that. This is the runaround. It kind of comes back up over and it comes back down towards your fuel. So right there's your runaround. And then here's another shortcut that you can go across to get onto your departure, northbound and southbound departure, which are these tracks. And then your main and your inspection would be these middle ones right here. It's by themselves. They'd be further down, but this is your inspection. And when you're running your trains down, like, okay, I'm going to set up, well, I got to pull my locals from way down here. I got to run them all the way down, run them under here, down, come in, grab, and set up, and then get them set up whether I'm going this way towards Needles or this way towards Cajon or Mojave, depending on which end I need to put my engines on. You're going to be using these tracks over here to this side to kind of get down there and get around. Basically, you don't want to come across the hump. The only time you need to come across the hump with your locomotive is you get some cars that you had too many go by, you get an error up here, and you have to shut it off, reach down up in there, hook up to the car, pull it back up all the way across the ramp, past that yellow sign, turn it back on and start again. Outside of that, no locomotive should be on this hump. And again, this is why I like to be like right up in here somewhere. But this is just me. Alright, so if you have your hump active and you selected the top one, correct?
I don't have my hump control on.
Okay, you want me to do it? I'll do it.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay, so you see, according to YouTube there, I have my hump controller active. Auto pin puller is active, which I always keep that active, and that's active by default. So we are now ready. We already know that, what is it, 14 and 15, or 13 and 14, they're getting kind of full.
Anything going over there?
15 is, you know, already pretty full, but we'll see. So if you want to hump, come on and bring it on down. Yard speed limit is 15 miles an hour. Now you will be doing some up and down hills, so you can try to get your cruise control set in time, that by the time you start going up this hill towards the hump controller, you're under control and cruising.
Copy that. Also, 5590 toward hump, yeah.
5590 toward hump, Roger. And I'm going to sit here and watch for any errors. Now there is a video of this actually working, of them actually doing this, and I actually have a picture of this particular one. Let me see if I can find it on this monitor real quick. And there you go. So if you could look over real quick at YouTube, this is the real life Barstow hump yard right here. You see that? Oops. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I'm trying to get this going.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I got disconnected or not again. I don't know if you saw that, but that's the actual picture of the real life Barstow hump yard. How's it going down there? These are all 101s. Alrighty, press your F5. Function 5 to release all the handbrakes and everything that's on here. Okay, don't have air. Try pressing the function 7. That's the cheat button. Just see what happens. That will actually visualize it. And there you go. So what was it? Okay. Now you see that I have my tags on. I can see that this whole train is basically LCAL 101. So there's no mixture in this one. This one over here is Kansas City, Kansas, and this one over here is Riverside Valley, I guess. Riverside, I know that. So someone's already sorted these and brought them back. I guess they were going to try to sort accordingly, a second sort. But for the experience, come on in with it. Meanwhile, I'm going to look and for the 101, LCAL 102, LCAL 101, 13. Well, that's good because what I'm looking at on the configuration, LCAL 101 is going to go to track 113, so plenty of room. Excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. That's fine. That would be too fast for a hump, but that's fine to get it up here. Once you clear that switch and coming up this single track, it's going to be uphill. So remember, another thing to keep in mind when running a hump is that your hello user is that the speed of your locomotive versus the speed of your in-car could very well be different, and most times is different. Hi, Mark. I usually hump at 2.2, 2.1. Is it? Yeah, a lot of people say around 2.0. I hate going any slower than that. A 2.2 for me works fine. This is true. Yep. Yeah, this is correct. When I was on that other server, we had that issue happen. Um, what is the Superman symbol there next to your name, Mark? Oh, staff, cool. I need to do my check ride. Have you guys looked over my application? Oh, and by the way, I'm streaming live at this moment, so while teaching him how to hump. Have you had a chance to look my application over? Do you know? I submitted it last week. Yes, sir, I am. Not the Depot. This is the main. I don't have access to the Depot Plus. This is just the public. You know. Okay. I will remember that for future. Okay. Well, I apologize, and I will definitely take note of that um, for future reference.
Sorry to interrupt. Barstow, 5590 at 2 miles an hour, heading to Hump Yard.
55, 92 miles an hour. Copy. So you guys take it all the way. That's cool in a way, yeah.
I was telling my conductor I'm going to the Humping. No, I'm going to Humping Barstow. Yeah.
That's fine.
It's okay. Like I said, he's teaching me the ropes on how to hump, and haven't done it before, so it's going to be fun.
And the reason I stream is so that in case anybody else wants to learn how to do it, you know, they get to see how to do it, or he can go back and review, as well as not having to swap engines, swap drivers, so he can see this and he can see that, and then have him take over and do it. Like for example, the hump controller, how to pull from a hump controller, how to push, how to control, etc. So kind of like a one-shot does all. We're both fairly new to Run 8. I bought this beginning of this month, and come from a train sim background, so I kind of threw all that out the window once I got here. I'm like, okay, cool, and kind of been learning. Single player is a lot different than being on a server, and I like to be on a server and interacting with the other people. So, and I've been doing a lot of tutorials, so because they're limited on the version 2 tutorials. Most of your tutorials are version 1, and me, I had to learn the hard way, pretty much, on how things work. Oh, hope you have a good trip. Oh, okay.
I was just getting ready to leave and
I don't, not real life, no.
so
Go ahead and stop. I'm sorry, Mark. Stop and pull back. It did not release at the 3, and right now, if you try to push 4 over, you're going to have an error. So go ahead and pull it back. Correct, yeah. Go ahead and retract all the way. And I think you're going to actually have to have control of the hump control, because otherwise you're going to have errors popping up. Hey, Mike. So I went ahead and released control of the hump, and you go ahead and pull up, and then you're going to have to take control. How's your day been going, Mike? Cool. Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I had to stop him when we were about to get an error. and we don't want to do that, right? I have never crashed a server, so in all the years I've been playing anything online, MMOs, any of it, so I don't want to start now. You mean out of run 8? Oh, okay. Okay, 5590, you can come to a stop, yep. And you may want to come up here, or if you're in range, you got a short train, so you should be able to be in range, but see. Let's see if you can get control of the hump now. Yeah, apparently it won't do it in team play like a conductor and an engineer. I would have thought that it did, but we learn. Okay, I see. Yeah, you can't walk on the bridge or fall through, but it doesn't matter. As long as you're in get control of the hump. That'd be left control function 6. And then once you have it, make sure you activate it. Correct. Awesome. Yeah, one of the things that made me nervous about coming over here, doing much outside of just resident in my own train was, and I mentioned this to Mike, so it looks like some people had cars out and been doing work, and I didn't want to mess up their stuff. So it's like, what do I do? Okay. I'll tell you, it's just a matter of respect, but I'm in my 50s and not one of these young kids that don't understand what it really means. speed there and make sure you're doing, you know, about 2 miles an hour. You're good. The tricky part now is because you're part uphill, part downhill. Is now remember your locomotive is going to go at a different speed, but set your cruise control according to the loco, and your cars are all fall in line as they tighten up. And if you don't use cruise control, or what I call speed control, your MPH meter, your speedometer, it'll fluctuate all over the place. Now I don't know. Did you get a chance to see that picture I was putting up of the real life Barstow hump yard?
I did, thanks.
Yeah, I can share that with you too if you want a copy. But that's the real life one. They did a pretty good modeling job, didn't they? Okay, first car is at the reader. So it'll separate. Good deal. So it'll read, it'll do 1, 2, or 3. Anything more than 3 will cause an error. Then you'll have to reach down. If it does disconnect, you'll have to reach down, grab it, pull it up, and then redo it again. Oh, I love to see how that one released. You actually hear the air, and those two are going. And it'll tell you in that upper left-hand corner where it's going. No problem. I love to try to help people and stream things that's going to help people. Because I know what it was like when I was pulling my hair, trying to figure out what was what. Right, and it should tell you what track. In this case, it should be track 113, which would be over to the right. And being that all these are LCAL 0101s, they're all going to go to the same track. So, but this just gives you the experience of running one. Now, when you have multiple, then it'll sort it out. You have to keep an eye down there to make sure you don't have cars lining up across your switches down there, which when you do, you have to stop this local, release, go grab a trim, grab those and pull those out, come back, and then start this again. Those are the ones that are down further that I was showing you earlier. They usually say, they'll say something like bar trim or back or Bakersfield trim. They'll be named trim normally. Correct, down there at the far end of this hump yard here. And that's where they're normally kept at. I mean, I guess it would depend on what server or how they run it. The server that I was on, that's where they kept it, and I just kind of got in the same habit of doing the same thing. So I was on another server. It was full of young people, and I mean it was fine, but I kind of left that one. It was kind of run amok and sometimes, and so kind of like to discipline myself. Yeah, I'm not saying nothing bad about the people over there, but when you got 20 different chiefs, it's hard to be, you know, hard to do anything. Bubba just joined us. Oh, Bubba, let me ask you, because we were talking about this earlier. Channel 0, does the server, do you guys actually, over on the Depot Plus server, go by the correct channels depending on where you're at. Correct. I guess that's just strictly with texting, or is that for anything else? That's what I figured. Right. Do you have like a dedicated dispatcher, like when you do your runs, or? Right. Let me do a count. I hear the loco, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct. You have 5 cars. And 2 are across, approaching the third, so it should disconnect on this one. That'll leave you with 2. Okay, last 2. Me too, usually. It depends. Sometimes I can do it with no brake. Just depends on how the cars are headed. And that's your last car. Go ahead and come to a stop. And if you want to, go ahead and back it back down. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you. Yeah, I was doing a local out through Edison, and I put about 4 handbrakes on after I disconnected, and right before I disconnected, and pulled away because I was delivering the cars out there. And next thing I know, people on the server were like, "Oh man, this cars are going!" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And one day admins come running, and yeah, there they were. They were going down about 60 miles an hour, he said, and they managed to stop it. And what happened? And I told him, I said, "I'm sorry, I thought I had enough." So after that, by default, I did two things. One, I started using my air when I disconnected, tried to keep some air pressure in the line. And second, after I disconnected, I'd reach over and hit all handbrakes. And boom, I never had to worry about that again.
Hey, buddy, what's the speed limit
Okay, I usually run it at 15. Well, actually, that's what I call it at. And I run about 15.9. But yeah, that's the way I think, and I've never worked for a railroad, so yeah, I look at it as restricted. You can stop her anywhere in there. Normally up there by that shack somewhere, but anywhere up there, I guess is good. Then what I do, I'll take you down there, get your camera trim, pull out and show you how that works in there. It can get kind of confusing down there and get lost real quick. That Barstow full map you get from the depot has been my best friend over here. That's good, you can shut it down right there if you want. I normally, personally me, you do how you want, but I usually just, like I said, stay up here. Either leave it right there by the bridge or by the shack somewhere. That's just how I do it, but another thing, okay, now when you come back, you can turn your active hump off. I usually don't turn mine off until I know all the cars have cleared that first, what do you call that thing, Mark? That very first thing that it goes through as it comes down the bridge. The retarder, okay. Once it hits that and it hits the switches, then I'll go ahead and turn it off. One of the things that I heard was don't teleport out of the area. I'm sorry, excuse me. Don't teleport out of the area while you still have cars rolling in the hump, because apparently they will end up overlapping each other, and then that causes an issue. What I've been told. So. No, not to spawn. They'll just kind of crash into each other, but they won't crash. They'll overlap. Telescoping. So don't teleport out until all the cars have finished and come to a complete stop. That's what I was told, and that's what I've been going by as well. Now, okay, yeah, the last set of cars are rolling down. There's 5 of them there. Now what about if you crash? Because sometimes I tend to crash. My internet will glitch. Will that cause a corrupt or? Yeah, well, no, my router. Like earlier tonight, it. Yeah, I would think it does. It's just been doing it here the last few days. I don't know why. I'm gonna gonna have to get a hold of them Monday and see, have them do a test. Okay, and there you go. I'll see you down there. So then you would come up and you take your trim. You can either wait until it's full, or if you're needing these cars to come out, let's say you're short on, you need the rest of these 101s pulled out, you could grab a trim and pull it out. Or if you want to say like that Barstow line over here on 115, you can see it's pretty well loaded, almost to the end. You could grab a trim car, pull it out, and either, I don't know what they do over here, if they want to store it on the local 1 through 4 or take it down to the BNS old yard. Until the train is ready. What do you guys do? How do you do your train makeups when you run them through the hump and you need to clear out, or you want to clear out a track like this one, 115? Do you pull it out and then back it up into the local yard over there, the 1 through 4, or do you take them down to the BNSF old yard? How do you guys do it? The local yard? Okay. Right. And some of the locals, they're limited on space, on how big of a train you can take in. So they were telling me on the other server that I was with for a while that this is perfect setup for that scenario, as it limits to, was it a couple thousand feet only, and that's it. Uh, check with, I'm sorry, I'm missing something. Check with the yard for what? Oh, to see if they have room, or? Oh, oh, oh. Well, wouldn't they be on the main line? Right. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Right. And if you look on YouTube there, Leonard or Take Six, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm bad with names. This is the old yard down here, across from the Amtrak station. Yeah, I see that they have a couple down here.
77 through the Humping.
Okay, yeah, I see that they have 3 of them actually down here right now. Yeah, see, over on the other server, they were wanting me to come all the way down here, and then when I got it all done, back it all the way back up to the local yard and dispatch out of the local yard. And I'm like, why would I do that? I'm double handling, double working myself. And that's when they got to explain, and their way of doing it was so that like CMX and some of these other places are very limited on how much room. Well, CMX is not a good one because CMX got a lot of room, but some of these locals are limited on how much space they can have, and so they used it as a gauging. Yeah, they're right here. Well, these say none, but unless I'm looking at the wrong ones.
I got the other ones. Two down there said none. These are marked room up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's still a lot of things I gotta learn, like the proper tags, and I mean, I'm trying to learn them. I got, looking them up. I wanted to Google, what do you call it, data sheets, like what I did, tape 6, where it has all of them. Just trying to figure it out is kind of head scratching. Like WCL over there, I see WCL NP, or WCL I know is West Colton. NP I don't know. Right. Okay. See, I have no idea. This is just what was here. I had to learn all that still. Okay. Then what is this one that I'm directly over down here? Okay, I'm on the ground now. WCLRO. Freight cars, there's a line of them right here on this track. I'd have to pull up my map to see exactly which one I'm on, but it's across from the fuel refueling. Oh, okay. I just gotta learn all this. Oh, okay. Tell you what, why don't you come down here to 115, which would be the far one to the left, since it's pretty well full. It just says bar on it, so that's just a Barstow. Don't think it's going to hurt anything. And now if this was on the Depot Plus, I would not be doing this, but and it's kind of like not far down. And what I can do is I can actually there we go, I copied player train, so I can actually, you know, replace it. They go to this yard right over here, these four. Okay. Right, no, this is just VAR only on there. Yeah, that's one you just humped. So this one here would go out through Cajon. Okay, so if you have Kansas City, Kansas, say bar KCK or something, whatever, you got your destination and your receiving point tags on there, and the train comes and gets it and takes it. Where does the local tags come into play? How did they get that, like 101, 102, 611, etc., YBK50, etc.? me, I'd have to take baby steps and learn, cause yep. No. Oh, okay. So you'll learn all this over there. And so we would learn all that over there on the D plus. Okay. Right. Copy that. No, I haven't. Cool. Could you link that in TeamSpeak or chat box? You know? I don't see it. I see home maps down reference, symbols, tags, database, energy calculator, signals, and photos. Oh, the little icon, I see it. That's a Facebook icon. Let's just go up to that real quick. Cool, thank you. I didn't know that was in there. Yeah, sure will. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and terminate this. We've been over an hour already, but hopefully that'll help.